welcome everybody. My name is Nick Kremp. It is 6:04 on October 10th, 2023. Welcome to the Leominster Conservation Commission meeting. Before we get started, just remind everyone, if you have any devices, please put them on silent before we start so we don't have any interruptions. And I will go ahead and lead off with a roll call of the commissioners present. Mike Seekey. Here. Jim Chambers. Here. Richard Gullick. Here. And Chuck Raymond. Here. And phoning in from outside the meeting is our Commissioner Stephanie Quinlan. Stephanie, are you with us? Here. Okay. And with that, we have a quorum, and we can go ahead. So I'll kick it off to our chair. Well, normally I'll kick it off to the chair. You want me to kind of explain where we're at? Sure. Yeah, please. So just to get a little primer here. So there were some inconsistencies in the procedure for approving an order of conditions at a previous meeting on August 8th. That was for the first item on our agenda today, Brooks Pond Road, DEP file number 199-1184. So we had previously approved, or the commission had voted to approve that order of conditions. However, we never voted to close the meeting, and DEP had issued their comments after we had already approved it. So if it's amenable to the commission, I would recommend that we rescind the previous vote of approval and restart the discussions so that we can approve it in the proper, order of things here. So
that's in part so that the new comments get included within the file of the order, correct?
Yes.
To make that official.
Yes, and
that's really the reason.
And on the meeting minutes and all that. Yeah.
Can't that just be an addendum?
So we voted to approve it already, so we can't technically discuss it anymore unless we were going to rescind that approval. So we're just going back a couple of steps and incorporating DEP's comments, and then we're gonna we'll re-vote, and depending on that.
And that's why I was watching the videotape from August 8th, because I wasn't here. So in order to vote, I was here last time. I missed that one, so in order to vote, I didn't watch that.
So Chuck, if you could ask for a motion to rescind.
You're gonna go through who has to do this.
Yeah. So I'm a little unsure of the order of things here. So whoever had approved or made the motion to approve the vote is the one that has to make the motion to rescind the vote. So that would be our Commissioner Stephanie Quinlan.
I motion to rescind the vote of approval on an order of conditions to DEP file number 199-1184, which occurred on August 8th, 2023 at the Leominster Conservation Commission meeting.
Okay.
Is there a second?
And I second that motion.
All right, Mike seconds. I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Jim Chambers. Aye. And Richard Gullick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Okay, so vote has been rescinded and we will continue the discussion. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thanks, Steph.
Bye.
All right.
So if you want to read it into the record.
Yeah, I'm going to also just to make sure. So we normally ask for public comments about items that aren't on the agenda. There's no public here, so we'll skip right through that. So new hearings. We're calling it a new hearing, correct?
No.
We're not.
It's a continuation of the original hearing.
So continuation of the original hearing then. Thank you. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent for the construction of a 21-unit apartment building in the wetland buffer and riverfront area of Fall Brook. Address Brooks Pond Road, Lot 8A, map and parcel 317-5D-1, DP file number 199-1184. Sir.
Hi, for the record, Bill Hannigan hearing, just for the sake of completeness with respect to the quorum.
Please.
You need to state that you're utilizing the Mullen rule relative to the previous meeting, so that you that should be in the record that you view the meeting and that you're up to speed. So that would make you eligible to vote at this hearing.
But I just did that.
I just want to make sure.
Okay. Okay, do I literally have to say Mullen Rule?
I don't know.
Okay, then I will anyway.
Yeah, you just did.
Okay, I will, just for the record, I am utilizing the Mullen record here. I went back and watched the original hearing on August 8th. Like I said, I was at the last hearing, and I'll cut up to speed.
Right, and just for the record, on August 22nd, we made no presentation.
Right.
So there wasn't anything that was missed on that night.
Right.
So from that point, we had discussions with DEP. DEP issued comments relative to the impacts that we are proposing on the project, which is shown on the board. The impacts, I'll just briefly touch on those. Really, for the riverfront area, which is this line right here, we're looking at reconstructing this detention basin in this area here. The existing basin's a smaller footprint. We had to move some piping around to get it around the buildings. This is stuff that Chris went over at the last hearing. The reconstruction of this was done for a few reasons. One, the existing condition of the basin needs significant maintenance. It has not been maintained. We needed to, or had a desire to expand the capacity of the basin due to the increases in impervious area on the site that would drain to here. And that would include the work on lot 8 and on lot 9, which has not been filed with the commission. We'll be filing that relatively soon. But that would allow us to we ran a stormwater calc to update that information so that the basin now complies not only with the original stormwater policy, but it now complies with the stormwater regulations of DEP. So it's an improvement. So as part of that review, you know that the building is out of the riverfront. The work within the basin is within it. There are exemptions for using stormwater controls within the riverfront area. However, DEP asked us to take a look at an alternative analysis relative to that particular question on this particular lot. What they also asked us to do is they wanted to know what the cumulative effect of the project on the riverfront has been since the project's inception. So I submitted a letter earlier last week, which I'm not sure if everyone had a chance to read. But what we did was we went back and we looked at the riverfront. The riverfront work on the project.
So were you involved in this right from the start?
I was involved, essentially yes. We were involved with the land surveying portion at the time. Hamway Engineering did all the work. And LEC Environmental filed the original notice of intent for the project back in 2004. And I note that in the response to DEP. So what I could do is I can kind of just briefly go through that. So that what they requested for, what is the cumulative riverfront area that's impacted at this location from the project since 1996, with the total riverfront area from all project impacts since 1996, including the current project, you see 10%. So they go through those typical things that you would discuss. So in the response letter, we wrote a review of the cumulative riverfront impacts since the project's inception has been provided and submitted. Based upon the original intent filed in 2004, which is DEP file number 119, excuse me, 774, the total riverfront area associated with the overall Brook Pond development is 604,448 square feet. That's pulled right from the notice of intent that was filed anywhere conditions that was issued back in 2004. So that's the basis.
Those are the buildings up on the hill?
There's the riverfront area extends on the whole property. So it doesn't matter where we're building.
I know, but that location was up on the hill, right?
No, this was the original filing was for all of the apartments, the low rise, we'll call it, buildings in the back. Okay. So based upon the current completed construction, the proposed construction of for lot 8A, in the future construction for lot 9A, which is in this area here, right in here. I'm sorry, right in here.
Yeah.
Okay. We took a look at all of the riverfront impacts that have taken place over time. That includes work in this area here, which was for the detention basin in behind building number 3. Okay, this little corner of the building, which went into the riverfront area, which probably was not originally designed that way, but we included that as part of our analysis. The platform that's there for the stage, we included that. Some parking that was extended into the riverfront area, we included that. All the bocce courts, all the work that's been done on the road, this whole area has all been included. If you notice this area that's in red, that was the location of the original driveway that went over an old culvert that went through when Bart was farming this whole area. So as part of the original project, we took that out and we replaced it with the box culvert that's there right now. And they rebuilt the dam to some degree, and that's another whole issue. But this original impact does not get counted towards riverfront impact because it was there when we started. Okay, so those numbers are all cumulatively put in there, and it ends up being 46,542 square feet, which is 7.7% of the riverfront area for the project. So therefore, we're below the 10% for that perspective.
Well, is the O'Reilly Auto Parts part of that?
It's all part of it, but there's no buffer zone work on O'Reilly. There's no riverfront work on O'Reilly, sorry.
But the storm drainage.
The storm drainage, the storm drainage comes down from O'Reilly. O'Reilly's right in this area here. So, but the storm drainage ends up coming down into this detention basin down in this area here. Yeah. So there are other pieces of the project that feed the drainage system to this. For example, like you said before, the high-rise buildings up top, those eventually all come into this back drainage system and get back down to this detention basin here. The majority of the site over in this area here feeds into this detention basin and this detention basin right now. So what we're doing is we're rebuilding this detention basin to take into account the work that's being done. And I'll throw this one up now. I had one up here that had a little shelf on it. Might use it. Back in the old days. So the work on lot 9A is right here. We haven't filed for that one. The work on lot 8A is right here, including the expansion of the basin and the relocation of the piping. Okay, so all that has been included into this, and the breakdown of it is that the ones that are in color, the green and the blue basically are existing and proposed. Okay, existing until just before we started, and proposed and will be coming in for that one there. And then the gray ones are stormwater related basins, which we account for, but they don't go towards the 10% number. Okay, it's only the permanent alterations that are not related to stormwater that go towards that number. So that's the.
So Bill, just to say that again, the green is existing, blue is proposed, and the gray is stormwater.
Correct. Green is
existing impervious.
Not impervious, but green is existing
Alteration.
Disturbances and alteration, which may include some impervious.
Okay.
Okay. The blue in this area here is the area that will be disturbing the roof front area for the construction of this building here. There's two sections of gray in here, and there's a line that outlines the two. So this section was existing. This section is proposed, based upon the fact that we're going to be taking out this little driveway area, we're moving these pipes around and stuff like that. So this is some work that's being built along with the rebuilding of this area as well. This is what was done before, so that exists, okay? And the piping system that come down here, you can see somewhere, halfway through this little drain line area is in riverfront, the other half is out. Okay, so we've broken this down. We had done this probably in 2016, I think we had done this as well, because of the fact that was when we reconfigured a lot of the buildings and a lot of the areas around the site. So a lot of this was already reviewed in 2016. I don't know where those records are, and I couldn't really find. I think we might have did more of a review on the planning side than on the conservation side, but I don't think we had really many changes in the buffer zones of conservation back then. But we had taken a look at this once before, so us compiling this information in a few days from when we agreed to do it basically was not that difficult because of the fact that we had a lot of the stuff already worked out. So and I'll go back to the letter. So specific to lot 8A, which is this lot up here, this section here is really the riverfront area that we're working on. There's no area of building or impervious that we're creating up in here for that purpose. Okay, and I've already talked about the standards. It's bringing everything a bit closer to the current standards. And so part of the alternative that they asked us to look at for this basin, which is in the letter as well, is what could you do besides expanding the basin? Okay, and the question would be, okay, could you eliminate the other basin or clean the other basin up? Let's start with that. You could clean up the other basin and make it work, but you would end up with an increase in peak rate of runoff. It wouldn't be an increase in peak rate of runoff over the originally approved drainage stuff, so there still would be, you would still be compliant with the old stormwater management policy. But part of the intent when we're going through these things and redoing things and bringing them up to standard is to make them better and improve the water quality. So some of the things that we've done, we've added a water quality structure up in this area here, which will be on the next plan, okay? We're adding a water quality structure on this catch basin as well. So the improvements to the water quality aspect of the project, along with the basin, merit doing the additional work on the basin itself within the riverfront area. Okay, and that's in the alternatives analysis for this particular law. The other question that they asked, they've asked for the alternative analysis. We have it in part of this. They asked about whether we were seeking redevelopment status. We are not seeking redevelopment status. Part of it is because of the fact that we've measured the impervious area existing in this area here, which is shown on this plan, the two or three garages and some pavement. And by the time we're done with what we're doing here, as well as over here, we end up with an increase in impervious area. So therefore, we're not eligible to utilize the redevelopment aspect of the regulations. So we're not incorporating that. She asked about LID, and she's noting that it doesn't include deep sump castrations of proprietary water. LID, yeah. And so we're saying that there are no LID credits that we're asking for relative to this. And then they asked for the TSS information, which was in the drainage report, which we had sent them. But we pulled it out of the drainage report and we put it in the letter here for her to review or for the commission to review. And I think everything's in order relative to that. So the two alternatives that we considered was one, relocating it, which it's at the low point of the site. So relocating it would be, you could relocate it to even further lower, but down here, but now you're doing more riverfront impact, and now you're getting the 100-foot riverfront zone. You can't really relocate it higher because the entire complex drains down to this location because it's the low point of the site. Actually, the brook, which makes sense. Okay. And then the other alternative about, do you need to expand it? The need of expanding it is really for peak rate mitigation and improvement of water quality and treatment prior to discharge. And it needs the maintenance as well. So one of the things that she was looking for, which is already in our drainage analysis, was the operation and maintenance, which has been approved by the planning board. So the operation and maintenance plan that comes with the project is actually already on the planning board's approval document, but I would recommend that you would include that in yours as well. That way it kind of checks the box when she looks at the order of conditions. Yeah. But I think at that point, the questions that have been raised by DEP have been addressed, and we look forward to any questions we have.
The only question I had, you said one of the reasons you want to do the work in the basin is because the old basin wasn't maintained.
Correct.
Is this basin going to be maintained?
Yeah, that's why there's
the O&M manual.
That's the O&M. Correct.
Okay. Right.
The policy had O&M requirements, and they've maintained this one. Interestingly enough, this one it still needs some maintenance. We're gonna, as part of what we're doing on this side, and we'll be coming in for that. But in the drainage analysis, which has already been reviewed, we're actually going to clean this whole area up and we're going to lower it by a foot. Okay, because we're taking up some of the area within the existing basin. The existing basin stretches out into this area here, so we're going to fill that in, and we're going to make up that in compensation for that. So that'll be cleaned out. And as part of this, when we come in for this one, that'll be part of that order of conditions to have the maintenance of this basin take place.
Who's responsible for that O&M?
To develop, the Brooks Pond, the whole project.
Yeah, but their own employees that they hire.
They have a pretty good landscape team. It's just a matter of pointing them in the right direction. Okay. And I think that Peter's very aware of that now.
Okay, all right. So obviously you've gotten that letter already. Copy, it's gonna,
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
and the O and M, or the O and M, is it a manual or the?
It's in the drainage analysis, we can separate that out and incorporate that as and give a copy.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah, let's give a copy to Nick so he can make it part of the order of conditions. Yeah,
Please,
that's fine.
yeah, that'd be good.
Yep.
The other questions I had, anybody else? Jim?
Hey, Bill, thank you. Given the amount of rain we've had all this summer, how have the drainage existing structures worked?
Well, interesting. The drainage structures were phenomenal. The dam didn't do so well.
Right.
So so the dam failed, and we're in the middle of having that redesigned right now. We're gonna put a concrete core on it, because one of the comments that Bart came down and saw Peter on the site and said, yeah, that's the third time that dam's failed, and it always fails in the same spot.
The earthen dam?
Yeah. So we're gonna be rebuilding the dam. We've already talked to DEP to meet and regard about the approach. We're gonna maintain essentially the spillway with the batter boards at that elevation and size. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go a foot above that, and right now it's a foot above that, and then it kind of lands at the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go a foot above that and then extend that a wider platform, and then go up another foot with concrete, and then have that blend into the earth, and then armor that each side of that.
Okay.
And what that's gonna allow is if another storm like this comes through and the water rises up that fast, it has a much wider platform to go through.
Right. And
if you go out there, it's probably not there anymore, but we have some pictures of it that we can show you. When you look at the downhill side of the dam, on the north side of that, there was a layer of like grass that was like hay that was left, which showed you the height of the water.
Oh.
And the height of the water coming through was only about halfway up the culvert. The culvert worked fine, it was just that the dam just got washed out.
Okay.
So if you build a different type of spillway structure on the same dam, it should last.
Is this something you're gonna be coming or have come to us for, let's see, kind of?
Right now, we're working with the structural engineer to design the actual core, and it's gonna be one of those emergency ones. We have to have it done by, I think, in a month, a month from now.
Okay.
So, yeah, but then we follow up with you and go through all that.
You're gonna do that under the emergency declaration?
I think so, yes. It's a matter of whether we have time or not, because now it's not, because of the fact that there's no, because of the fact that we built the road in here, and there's no inability to access the site, okay, that it's not a real rush to do it.
Right.
We'd like to get it done under the order because it simplifies it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for the structural engineer.
Okay.
Thank you.
And no one's raised this, but I just thought about it just now watching it. But in terms of the riverfront area and the accuracy of the map and everything, I've walked the site since the flood, since the dam washed out, and it still follows the same course, like downstream from there. So anything relevant to lot 8A, like that should still be the same, that riverfront area. Just if everyone's.
Yeah, it's interesting that beyond the culvert, it really didn't move.
No, it didn't. You could see how high the water was
Yeah.
up, but now that it's gone back down, it's still down into the same thing.
Anybody else? Nope. No? Okay. Nick, what are your recommendations?
So, following DEP's comments, and now that we've appropriately addressed all of those, and in context of the entire site, and NOIs that are going to be coming up later, I'd say that they satisfactorily addressed all of DEP's comments, and I would recommend that we approve this order of conditions.
Alrighty, then I'll
Can I ask one question first?
Hmm.
Has Mia reviewed them and she's also said it met,
It wouldn't be Mia.
It was, so I think Judy was the
Yeah.
one that did the actual review on this and
Okay.
issued these comments, but those are all the comments that she issued, and they've been
and the
addressed.
responses are fine.
Yeah.
So we're not doing this again, that's the only.
No.
Right.
We don't check with DEP again, is what you're asking.
You should, I'm just saying, should we?
No.
No?
Just because we moved to vote on this before we had any comments from them, but we've seen the comments and they've addressed them, so we're all caught up
Perfect,
at this point.
thank you.
Chuck might just note that there's no public to, or public session.
Good point, yeah, okay, so, we've got no other comments and questions from the commissioners. There's nobody from the public here in the audience, so I'll go ahead and close this portion, close that portion of the hearing as well. With that, I'll then entertain a motion
So, and so going back on this, so there's a number of things that we have been doing procedurally, not the cleanest, I would say. So when we're having a hearing, a discussion on this, the commission needs to hold a vote to close that hearing, to close the public discussion, and then we have the discussion amongst ourselves, and then we vote to approve it. Does that sound correct?
We actually have a motion to close the public hearing,
Yes,
and then you're having a discussion.
and then a motion to hold a vote or a hearing.
Okay.
So someone needs to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Oh,
I will make a motion to close the
Mike, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right. I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Rich Gullick
Aye.
and Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Okay. So that is closed.
Okay.
Less than 30.
So start that again then?
So and now we can
all right.
hear a motion.
And then entertain a motion to approve the NOI for the Brooks Pond Road project, DEP file number 199-1184.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jim?
And that was with our standard conditions, Jim.
Correct.
And the OEM. Or the
Yeah.
what is the
The O&M, yep.
Operation and maintenance.
so
And the comments from DEP and Hannigan's
okay.
addressing of those comments.
Alright. So you want a motion for that, Mike?
I will make that.
For all that
motion.
stuff? Okay. Alright.
I'll second.
And Jim seconds.
Like
Thank
he
you.
said.
And I'll take the rest of the commission's vote by roll call. Rich Gullick
Aye.
and Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Alright. Order is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Could I ask, do you know when that is gonna be issued?
I will get signatures this week. I'll try my best to get signatures this week. I'll get that to you by next week.
I'm sure it'll stop in Friday.
So we take it Friday?
Well,
By next week.
Okay.
I'll get it to you as soon as possible, Bill.
We know the story.
Yes.
A lot of financing related to this, so.
No, yeah. I'll get it to you as quick as possible.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
all right, then nothing under continued hearings.
That one's for continued hearing.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Nothing else under continued hearings.
We're all learning here.
And you're here for which?
Emergency start for Nashua Street.
Yeah, so that'll be the next one. We have two
Okay, all right.
things under that.
Then moving on to the regular meeting, for the first agenda is,
Thank you, Bill.
agenda item is emergency certifications. You introduce yourself and let us know what project you're here for.
Sure. I agree with Bill, we gotta get it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small shelf would be nice.
So good evening, Patrick McCarty Engineering, here tonight on behalf of 27 Nashua Street LLC, which is the owner of the building located at 27 Nashua Street. The old UC Press, as a lot of us Leominsters know it as, or Quebecor. Route 13's kind of over here, the Athens Pizza, and then as you turn right on to Nashua Street, you have the UC Press building,
The first big one there
the
behind
first
Athens?
big one, yep.
Okay.
You have behind Athens, you have the UC Press building, the Higgins Mechanical, and then the North End Diner. So Attorney UC, who's the owner of the property with his sister, called me after the catastrophic rain event that the city experienced to show me this really large washout that occurred. My best guess is that Nashua Street must have flooded and took its only path in between the two buildings. This is the UC Press building here and the Higgins Mechanical building. It took its only path it could find, went down over the hill to the Nashua, and it eroded about a 70 feet wide strip by 120 feet from the edge of pavement down to the river, anywhere from 4 to 7 feet deep, depending on where you measure it. So we first stood there and went, wow, this is really extreme. Of course, that was a crazy rainfall event. So I've been out there initially with Attorney UC, who I left, and shortly after Mr. Krem showed up and saw it. I then met out there again with Attorney UC geotechnical engineer from John Turner Consulting and Jeff Powell from Powell Stone and Gravel, R.A. Powell Site Work, to discuss how we're gonna repair this. And then I had follow-up meetings with KMM Geotechnical and John Turner again at the site to come up what we're proposing is our only real feasible solution to putting the slope back together. So this area eroded out. It's probably a straight 4 or 5 foot drop here, and then it's kind of bellied out all the way down to the river. There is some sediment deposited in the river's edge, and then there's a little bit of sediment here that we're not proposing to do anything with because it's in the flowing channel. This plan is a record plan from 1996. It's all we had in the short time frame. So what we have presented to the commission is 2 plans. So the blue line here is the existing bank. This is obviously the building.
Be for the slope?
Yeah, toe slope. So
Yeah.
this is all tree here.
Slope, right.
This is all treed here, and this is just an eroded, and I have some pictures on my phone if anybody wants to see some pictures. And this is just kind of eroded, exposed soils leading down to the river. It's about elevation 368 up here, and it's about 300. So it's almost 70 foot, 100 foot run.
Yeah.
Really, really nasty. So between myself and the 2 geotechnical engineers, the solution we came up with is to saw cut the pavement and excavate a steep ramp down so that an excavator can walk far enough down the slope that they can put in silt fence along the river's edge. They can reach over the silt fence and just take what's on the surface of the sediment, not go into the water, just kind of clean what's in the surface of the water here. Set Gabion baskets, which are the steel baskets full of stone. Probably if you've ever driven to Target, you see them on the left, they're what's holding up the coals. So line the mean annual high water line with Gabion baskets, and then get ledge fill, which is basically blasted, unprocessed rock that you get from Keating's. So when they shoot it off, you get rocks of all different size, you get
Big river.
stone dust. It's like riprap and stone dust and soil mixed together, so it really kind of bind.
Right.
It's the product they get before they run it through the crushers and the washers to make all the different crushed stones. So put ledge fill in here, drainage layer of crushed stone, and then a finished layer of riprap on the surface. And then as we work our way back up, we're going to install an 18-inch outlet pipe with a flared end to a double catch basin and put curbing along the existing edge of pavement, put this pavement back together so that any runoff that does come down this in the future will get caught in that catch basin that's about 25 feet deep and then has an 8% slope on the pipe. So we're trying to get this flared end as far down the slope as practical.
So is that right about where it'll discharge at the end of the green line?
Yes, and included in the packet here, so I've got packets for everybody. So the first sheet is a copy of that plan, and the second page is the cross-section of the slope by John Turner Consulting. Oops, sorry. So the second page is a kind of a cross-section.
I got all of them.
So the first page that you're looking at there is just a smaller version of this. The second page of that is the cross-section that shows you the Gabion baskets at the bottom, the drainage layer of dense grade, the ledge fill, the drainage pipe, and then the 3-foot layer of riprap, the curb at the top. And we pulled the catch basin 5 foot back from that curb, so if we have a really large rainfall event, it's the structure's not right there at the curb line, it's back so we can get a little ponding on the upstream side of the curb line to try to get as much of that into the catch basin as possible. If you notice, this is the corner of the building, so the washout's only about 10 feet away from the corner of the building, which is compromising that corner of the foundation. So the three professionals, myself as a civil engineer and a site work contractor, the 2 geotechnical engineers, and then Jeff Powell, we've all kind of collaborated on the best way to approach this. I did shoot a crazy idea past Nick.
Water slide?
No, so this is the back of the Joel Baker's properties. You have Baker Cadillac and then the Dream Kitchens building, and you can actually drive all the way around. And I haven't even spoken to Joel because Nick agreed that this was kind of crazy. It's only about a 5-foot drop from Joel's property to the river, and the river's really shallow. And I said, how crazy would it be to walk an excavator across the river to be able to access this? And he said, I said, well, you know, we're trying to come up with any,
If that was the only alternative, yeah.
yeah, I mean, so, cause we are talking 70 feet down.
Mhm.
So we did kind of bounce that around, but then we came up with a ramp solution, and we get a 33% grade and 60 feet, we do get ourselves down. And this is meant to show the 1.5 to 1 slopes as he digs. He's not just gonna dig himself a slot, he's gonna flare out those sides. To be able to get down and restore this and get it put back together. And so the plan is for Powell to complete the work. My company, either myself or Brian, who you guys know, would be out there to check in on the work and make any field adjustments and keep making a loop, obviously, but we're hoping that the commission would issue us an emergency cert to do this work, because we wanna get it done, obviously, right away. It's mid-October and winter's here before we know it.
Just, I'm interested I understand you don't want hydraulic fluid and all the excavator
Yeah.
stuff in the water. What, other than safety, obviously safety, and possibly see, what was the advantage of coming around the other side?
We were just trying to figure out the best way to get down, because right now you can't get down to the bottom, right?
You
It's
get
a
there very
straight
fast.
drop,
They have
yeah.
to dig their way down.
I even said, I even found another idea. So Steve Powell owns a D9, which is a massively, if you watch Gold Rush, that's what Parker uses to strip the Yukon, right? So Steve's got one of those. I said, let's park it right here. We can rent a D6 XW, which has extra wide pads and it's an extra heavy dozer, and it has a large winch at the back.
Yeah.
I said, we can tether the 6 to the 9 and run ourselves over the hill. And Steve said, no, enough with the crazy ideas. He said, you've been watching
Fun to watch though.
Yeah, he said, you've been watching too much Gold Rush. And so, after going around and around, and Kevin Martin, who's KMM Geotechnical, and Steve from John Turner and I, and we kind of just kept spinning this around until we came up with this is the best plan to get this done in a safe manner that's safe for the workers, right? Because as you said, you'll get there fast if you're not careful and down to the bottom. So safe for the workers and safe for the resource area and safe for the building to get that slope stabilized again, so.
So you've obviously got to excavate to get to the low point of the.
Correct.
Of the, what is that catch basin, keyed, so it stacks on?
Yes.
You all set, Mike?
I got it.
You all set, Mike?
Yes, I am, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I had a couple questions. You got the catch basin at the edge of the parking area. What type of vehicles are parked or stored in this?
It's all just passenger size and pickups.
Okay.
This is pretty
I
narrow.
know it's a print shop, but is there?
Yeah, no, the docks are over here, and actually, the Quebec Court's out. They moved out of the building, and the building's actually in the process of being sold, which adds to the
Right.
complexity of this.
Well, cello passed. You need cello on that one, or?
What's that?
The cello on that?
No, Attorney UC.
Oh,
So this is really narrow, so there's no trucks coming in here. This is just all, there's a company that has a bunch of vans that are parked there, and just cars and pickup trucks were parked here. The large loading all occurs facing the train station.
all right. Second question, though. You said that the water came down from Nashua Street. My question to the city is, what's the responsibility for water coming off a public way onto a private property?
In this case, this was, so when we do drainage calculations to size stormwater basins like Mr. Hannigan was just speaking about, the 100-year storm is like 8.2 inches of hour over a 24-hour duration. Leominster saw, depending on who you talk to, between 9 and 11 inches of rain in a 6-hour period, which is a 500-year or more statistical storm, right? So it's like 0.02% of that happening again in a 1-year period. And so I don't think anybody's looking to point fingers here. Attorney Yusi's he's ready to make the repair. It would take a lot of effort to figure out where the problem was, because there was multiple problems all over the city. You saw what happened at Baker Cadillac, you saw what happened on 117, you saw what happened in Whitney's buildings. I mean, it was everywhere that was these major problems. And so this was just one of those fluke events.
Well, we're not gonna put it upon you, Patrick, but someone needs to figure out.
Well, I think we're getting beyond the scope of this emergency certification and the scope of our.
Yeah, but just for a discussion anyways, I don't think anybody would, even if you figured it out, you would never design for a 500-year storm, because it's not practical. Your detention basins would get like 5 times the size of what they are now, and same for the pipes.
Never gonna pay.
Well, Chuck, my concern is, first off, with the parking of vehicles, whether or not there's an oil water separator in that.
Mhm.
So right now, so historically, that's all paved now, vehicles parked there, and there's no controls, it just runs
Yeah,
over
I
the
understand that now, I accept that, I just
Yeah.
want, if there were industrial vehicles going down
Right.
there, they tend to,
So oil water separator would only come into play if you had an interior floor drain. In a building, let's say you had an overhead door and you drove your vehicle in and you'd have a floor drain, that would go through an oil water separator before it discharged to sanitary sewer.
well, I've constructed,
Storm
I've
drainage,
constructed industrial vehicle parking lots, and we had to put oil water separators in those.
typically you would do a deep storm catch basin with a hood. And so the hood would cause the oil to float on the water and not go down the pipe. But you wouldn't do the invert oil water separator like you would see, because in a rainfall event, that would just get flushed. So typical installation would be a catch basin with a hood and a sump like we're proposing.
Mail, Rich, you all set?
Nick did call me around 5, he said there was a couple DEP comments.
Yeah,
I tried to
so-
touch on them, Nick, did I miss anything?
I think you pretty much hit on there. So I just called Mia McDonald and Mass DEP near the end of the day today to try and get any kind of last minute comments on this, just because it is, it is a pretty serious situation.
Sizable project, yeah.
Yeah, the erosion, like the washout is like about 10, 15 feet from the corner of the building, like Patrick said. So, but it's a massive disturbance, so it's going to be a big job no matter what. But I just want to get DEP's comments on it before we okay anything. And she had just mentioned the 100-year flood elevation. She said should be shown on the plans. I understand, it's an emergency certification. I'm just saying what she said. But she had some concerns with fill in bordering land subject to flooding, which could narrow the river and cause impacts across the river or downstream. So talking about those gabion baskets that Patrick mentioned to place at the bottom of the toe slope.
Mhm.
So DEP was just concerned about, the placement of those baskets and it constraining the river in that point and, leading to more issues downstream. So how are you determining where to place those baskets?
So this line, the blue line that I've highlighted, you can see that the writing at edge of river.
Yep.
And it continues along, and so I'm showing it here. In board of that, I've got the silt fence kind of at the edge of river, and then I've got the gabions in board of that, so that I'm doing exactly what she's worried that I was not going to do.
Yeah.
And that was to say, well, it's easier just to push them out in the river, right, in a bulge, and then affect flow. No, I've got them proposed right here in line. And so when you get to the bottom, it's a wooded slope, and you get that typical, like, eroded kind of 1 foot drop that you
Yeah,
can see in a river. So that's right where we're placing them.
So you'll place it like just up from that.
Just up from that. So it'll have no effect on the flow of the channel or the river, and have no effect on floodplain. I happen to be an expert on the floodplain of this section of Nashville River and Hamilton Street, so if any of you want to spend a few hours talking floodplain, I'm happy to go over it all. So, it's good points that she made, and showing the 100-year floodplain line, it does, all we're doing is matching grade to grade here and matching straight across the bottom, so we're obviously not impacting flood storage.
So so the way the drain pipe's coming out, there's no chance that that's gonna ever get flooded even in the 500-year storm, that would be above
Right, yeah, that's up at elevation,
23, 27.
that's at 342.
The
Yeah.
outflow, is it?
Yeah, the outflow is, so the invert's 346 and a half, then you have the 40 feet of pipe at 8%, so it's around 342 and a half.
Okay.
Just for reference, if we ever flood to 342, the second floor of Macy's is underwater. Finished floor of Macy's is 301.5.
Oh.
So we got a real
Much
big problem.
much bigger problem.
than this.
5,000 year event, something like that.
Yeah. Call Steve, what's the comedian that built the ark for the movie?
Oh, Corral.
Steve, call Steve Carell. Tell him to build the ark, but we will need that.
So I just wanted to, make those points known, just in case there was something that she thought of that I didn't think of. I think that's a valid point, but based on what Patrick's saying, they're not trying to encroach on the river or anything like that.
Those gabion baskets don't move, they're heavy and they're lashed
Yes,
together.
we're
lashed
buying
together.
empty and then fill them down there rather than, because the other alternative would have to be to fill them up top and then crane each individual basket down, so.
Big
Just
fan.
one other point she mentioned, she just said at the end, if the commission may want to discuss if this erosion was caused by increased water levels, scour from the river, or if this was, flow from the parking lot. If from the parking lot, then the commission may want to require a long-term solution to address the stormwater issues above. I understand what she's saying there, but
That's my question.
I think it's an
Yeah, that was Jim's question.
I think it's an exceptional, as Patrick said in response to Jim's question, it's an exceptional event.
I think the catch basin and drain pipe, I think kind of addresses that.
Yeah.
At least on the private property,
It's an improvement.
not so much on the public property up slope. But, well, one last question I do have, how big are the I've heard it pronounced gabion.
They're 30 inches by 30 inches, so 30 wide, 30 tall, 60 long.
Okay. So, and you're gonna put stack of
Two
two?
rows, yeah.
Okay, so 60 inches to 5 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're curious where the exit is for the parking garage. That thing was a big, that was
Yeah,
a big
that's-
scoop, that was
that's-
a big scoop of
That's
water.
down from
That's
us.
down further.
That's on the other
Yeah.
side, that's on the other side of Nashville
I
Street.
thought it was beyond
No.
UC Press.
No,
I thought it was beyond UC Press on the other side, no?
no, the lower entrance is down more by the back of Jackie's Dairy Bar, Athens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The lower entrance is
I
flooded.
was thinking it was catching it.
That blew, I guess, in there, like an 8-foot slab of concrete on the top of the drainage structure just lifted right off.
I bet.
Behind Athens.
No, in the parking garage.
Oh.
Actually, like a big water scoop.
Yeah, because Jeff Sullivan, foreman for Powell, also went over and looked at this, and of course he was driving around in curiosity, as
Yeah.
a lot of us in the business drove around in panic from the Monday night of.
Alright.
Cool.
Everybody all set? Alrighty.
We will, entertain a motion to close the discussion.
Yeah, entertain a motion to close the discussion for this hearing.
Is that after the public comment that we can't get because there's nobody here?
Yes, you should ask for a public comment, even if there's no one here.
Okay.
We should ask for the record.
I usually do. So ask the public questions from the public comments, but there's no public here. So go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing, public meeting portion of the hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim. Second.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Okay.
And in light of that as well, I will make a motion.
Well, I gotta-
sorry.
I gotta hear and that's the other thing that we've been doing is, so someone makes a motion and then someone seconds it and then we take everyone's vote. So
Oh, that's right.
you made a motion, so I will take the
Right.
entire commission's vote by roll call.
Right.
Jim Chambers,
Aye.
Richard Gullick,
Aye.
Mike Seeke.
Aye.
And Chuck Reiner.
Aye.
Alright, so we'll close the public portion of the hearing.
And then I will entertain a motion to approve the emergency certification for the project at, what are we calling it?
27 Nashville Street.
27 Nashville Street, as described by the applicant.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
I will second it.
You, Michael?
And I'll take the commission's vote by roll call. Jim Chambers,
Aye.
Mike Seeke.
Aye.
Richard Gullick,
Aye.
and Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
I made you 4 full-size copies too for the
Thank
file.
Thank you. And I will get that signed and, well, I'll sign my own version and then I'll get everyone to ratify at the next meeting. But I'll get that certification out to you tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic, thank you very much.
No problem.
Kingpins this week on Ladies Hospital. Good job.
I'm going to the preserve.
Other emergency certification?
I'm going to the
Yes.
sporting place. Oh, yeah?
Rich, yeah, that's there. Take care, guys, have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
Patrick. Alright. So, pretty simple one. 122 West Street, so right up the road here. It butts up against Rockwell Pond on the back, in their backyard. It's actually a duplex. It's 122, 124 West Street. And down in between that building and the neighboring building at 128, during the flooding events, all this water flowed off of West Street, and there's a low point there off the street, so it flowed off of West Street through the yards in between 122 and 128, on its way to Rockwell Ponds, and there's, a wooded area up against the pond that kind of extends between the houses, and a lot of that got washed out, especially these two larger, black locust trees down there. So all of the roots are completely exposed, the trees are still standing, but the owner of 122 just wants to get them removed so that they don't, come down in a later storm, so. It's gonna be in the buffer zone. They're gonna be working from the back of the driveway into the yard a little bit, but they're gonna lay down plywood, anywhere where the truck treads are gonna be going onto the yard, and then using a crane to cut it up and lift up the trees out of there.
Okay.
And that's the only thing.
And is part of that, does it include filling in the part that was washed out?
Nope, so they're gonna, cut the trees, leave the stumps and the roots
Okay.
where they are.
And then just leave the washout as it is?
Yeah, it's all washed out, all like around the roots.
Yeah.
So the roots are still sort of holding it together, but all the roots are exposed.
Okay.
So
Alright.
it's not
So
stable
they don't
anymore.
wanna do any beautification or anything about it?
No, it's just kind of like a wooded area near the back, but they just want to get the trees out before they cause any damage. So, but they will be keeping the roots in the stumps in place.
Okay.
So with that, and then it would be Thomas C. Porter is the tree service. for him.
And what's the address again?
122 West Street.
Okay. So we just need a motion to approve the
Yes, so
certification?
I would recommend that the commission approve the emergency certification for the tree removal at 122 West Street.
I wrote 122 West Coast, I don't know why. Okay, I'll entertain a motion then to approve the emergency certification as described by the agent for 122 West Street.
Well, I will make that motion.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Richard.
And I'll take the entire commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
Jim Chambers.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Alright, and the emergency certification for 122 West Street is approved.
Just trying to figure out why I wrote 122 West Coast, I have no idea. Any other emergency certification?
No more emergency certifications for tonight.
All right, good. All right, moving on to the next item, a certificate of compliance for Zero Research Drive, map 503-3-5, DEP number 199-1122.
Yeah, so Chris Anderson was hoping to have us vote on this at the last meeting, but due to my own mistake, I forgot to put it on the agenda. So you might recall he gave us a little brief synopsis of it. I'll just briefly summarize that, there was an order of conditions approved for the construction of a building at this site. Through some financial difficulties and COVID, that never ended up happening. The site was prepared and graded and seeded with grass seed, but the building construction never commenced. So they're not planning on building the building anymore. They're just going to, they're trying to sell the site to a different builder to do whatever they wish to do on the site. So at this point, I would recommend that the commission approves an invalid order of conditions stating that the work was never commenced for the order. And that would be my recommendation.
Sure.
May
Anybody have any questions about it?
May I vote on that, if I wasn't here the last meeting?
Yes, because it wasn't on the agenda, he just kind of briefly gave us a summary, which I reiterated. Thank you, Rich.
All right, good. Then I'll entertain a motion to approve an invalid order of conditions.
Yes.
For Zero Research Drive, number 199-1122.
So moved.
Thank you, Richard. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, take the commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Jim Chambers.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
All right. And we'll
Right.
get that out to them this week.
Thank you. Moving on to the next one, modification to existing orders and conditions, 277 Jocelyn Street, number 199-1183.
Yeah, so I believe we passed that order on August 22nd, either August 8th or August 22nd.
It was 22nd, because I was here for it.
Yes, so it was August 22nd. It was just for the garage addition in the buffer zone. However, a few days after we voted to approve that, Ellen, the homeowner, came to me and asked me about what she would have to do to add a shed. And I just told her to just put it in as a modification, just to be careful. If a new agent comes in, a new commission comes in, and just so everything's on the record. So basically, she's going to be removing a 12 by 16 foot garden shed on her property that was on the existing plans that she presented back in August, and she's going to be removing that and installing a brand new garden shed of the same dimensions, 12 by 16 feet, at a slightly different location, but also within her yard, in the backyard. So the existing wood shed at the end of the driveway will be dismantled. The new garden shed will also be a wooden structure. It will come assembled, or it will be assembled on site by the shed company. The site will be prepared with a crushed stone base of 3/4 inch stone, approximately 3 to 4 inches thick. Stone base will be sized approximately 14 feet by 18 feet to enable a 12-inch perimeter, so roof drainage will go into the gravel base. Purpose of the shed will be to store garden tools, patio furniture, etc. The new garden shed will be installed in the lower level of the backyard beyond the driveway, but near the site of the existing shed.
No chickens, right?
No chickens. That's why I asked her to include what the purpose of that shed will be.
Good man.
It's mainly for storage.
So
Yes.
what's the wetland buffer zone issue for this?
So it's within 100 feet of the buffer. However, it's going to be on existing lawn area, and she already has an equivalent, a shed of equivalent size, so there's not going to be any change in impervious surface. Yeah.
Just different location thereof.
I think it might be slightly closer to the wetland line in the new position, but it's going to be within the existing lawn area.
Right. So. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? No. Okay. All right. Then you all set?
Yep.
Okay. I'll then entertain a motion to approve a modification to the existing orders and conditions by adding a new shed or replacing an old shed with a new one of similar size.
Did you need to, one quick question,
Oh,
did you
the
need
public.
to have voted at the public?
Yeah,
And
thank you,
did
yeah.
you need to, and then we gotta do we close that? No, it's not a good.
So that's one. Maybe we should vote to just close that just to be safe. As far as I know, it's just for hearings, like for like new hearings and continued hearings, and these are a little.
This is just a modification to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was already closed. So
Can people do we have to have voted on the original approval to vote on the modification?
I don't think so. I'm not really an expert on that.
Well, that's why we have modifications, because then otherwise it would just be presented in the NOI.
No, I get that it's a modification, but to vote tonight, what if one of us wasn't at the meeting when we approved it on the 26th? That's what I'm asking. Let me guess,
I
was not. That's what I was wondering, right?
So I don't believe that matters, because we've already approved the permit, and this is just for a modification to it, which we shouldn't have heard about anyway, because it's a modification.
Sounds good to me.
That's my understanding. So we'll proceed with that, but I'll double check on that.
So there was no public hearing portion. We wasn't an open hearing, so no one can close that.
Yeah,
So-
that was more my question was, can we open?
Yeah. All right. So I'll start again. So then I entertain a motion to approve a modification to the existing order of conditions, with a new shed to replace an old shed of similar size, at 277 Jocelyn Street, number 199-1183.
So moved.
Thank you, Rich. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Michael?
I think we should put some special conditions to make sure that the building materials are removed properly.
Can we add a special condition to a modification?
It's a modification to an existing order, so we.
Modify the modification?
You mean the current shed?
No, the one they're tearing down. I mean, a lot of that stuff could be pressure treated.
Wood in their yard. And
It probably is pressure treated, honestly.
don't need
Yeah,
the
pressure
motion
treated
to
is
At least the frame of it anyway.
You don't think we need it, we don't need it.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that. I do think that she's, just based on my interaction with her, I think she'll be prompt about
Yeah,
taking stuff
probably,
out.
you're probably right.
But that's a good thing to check on as well, for if that's like kosher to add conditions during a modification. And I would just avoid that too, especially just because she submitted this with the understanding that I would just present the information with her absent, but with her not here, I would hold off on adding conditions.
Yeah, and, you know, it was nice that she came in because she could have pulled that off without anybody knowing, right?
Yeah, is that true? Yeah.
You don't need a building permit, it's under 200 square feet, so.
Yeah.
But she wants to do it the right way, so.
Yeah. Obviously, he wants to do it right.
But I'll check that because I would, for other parties, that might be more necessary, yeah. Okay. So,
I seconded.
okay. And Rich first.
Yeah, Rich made the motion.
So I'll take the commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seekey.
Aye.
Jim Chambers.
Aye.
Richard Gullick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
All right, modification accepted. Okay.
All right, good. Moving on. Conservation Nature Walks, Fall Foliage Walk on October 19th at Barrett Park at 4.
Yeah, so the next conservation-led walk is going to be at Barrett Park. They did sustain some damage on the trails from the September 11th rain event, but they do have plans to get some of that cleaned up under emergency certifications, which I was hoping they'd be ready for today, but we'll have them ready for at least next time, and I'll likely issue those before the commission votes on them anyhow.
And that's the rec department, not the trail sweepers, right?
No, yeah, that's the recreation department.
Okay.
They maintain everything down at Barrett, basically, so, that'll be for the recreation department, but they should be good to go on that, before October 19th, so I'm gonna keep this going on. We should be good to go for the hike, and
mushrooms.
and mushrooms, there should be a lot of mushrooms out, a lot of rain
Yeah.
lately, it's a good time of year. And, I don't have it on here, but the next walk will be November 2nd at the Granite Street Trailhead.
November 2nd, that's also a Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll try to get to them.
The which trail?
Thursday.
At the what?
Which trail?
At the Granite Street, it's at the very end of Granite Street, like go up the hill, and it turns into a dirt road. But I'll mention that at the next meeting.
You don't wonder how that road did with the rain.
Yeah, it's a little rutted up, but it's still drivable.
Okay.
So that is the next nature walk. We'll be talking about fall foliage, probably mushrooms, and should be a good time.
Good.
We had just a fun thing to mention. I've been corresponding with the Fitchburg conservation agent. Her name is Erlin, about the solar project going on at Fitchburg. We may
What
not have
solar
discussed
project?
any of that. Okay.
There's not familiar.
I will, because it's not on the agenda, I'll bring everyone up to speed on that at the end of the meeting here.
Okay.
Anyway, I bring that up because the Fitchburg agent actually attended one of my previous walks, and she should be at this next walk, so this is already turning out to be a good networking opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Slowly building. That's fantastic.
bringing things together and maybe
Good,
giving
good,
her
good.
some ideas for up in
Yeah.
Fitchburg, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to make this one.
So I just wanted to mention that, I thought that was neat. That she
Okay.
did. And that was it.
Super. Thank you. Sounds like fun.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. Meeting minutes. Of the three on here, I was not here for the August 8th one nor the October 11th one from last year. Looking at the list of people who attended. So what did we decide on voting, or we can't vote on meeting to approve minutes from meetings that we weren't here for, can we?
If someone is on the commission still, I think we should wait until at least one person who was present there is able to vote on it. But I think we ran into this before where there were some meeting minutes where none of the commission members were
Right,
present.
yeah.
Then we just kind of have to.
Approve as is.
City encourages them all to be approved. Our kind of reach of begrudgingly accepted the role of voting for ones that we
Yeah.
haven't been to.
Yeah.
When somebody else who has been there attests to it,
Okay,
and we accept that. So in
Okay.
this case, I have been there to all three,
okay,
and I've read all the minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to attest to
perfect.
them and make motions and so on. if you
All right, good, perfect, okay.
proceed with that.
good. All right, so for August 8th then, I wasn't here, but, so Rich, are you,
I've read the minutes, made some minor edits,
Mhm.
and make a motion to accept those minutes as edited.
Mhm.
I'll second that.
Okay. We got Rich motion, Jim second, I'll take the commission's vote by roll call. Jim Chambers.
Aye.
Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
again, that was for August 8th, 2023.
Yes.
And with the edits as they appear on the.
Correct, yep, right, all right.
But the August 22nd one, how's that worded for the Brooks Pond one?
It
Oh,
should.
wait, that was the 8th that actually got voted, right? But the minutes minutes said it was
I think the minutes might have said it was
condition,
continued
and so that's one of the edits
on the 8th,
on the 8th.
and you edited it to say approve.
Not positive, which is why I'm wanting to include that as one of the edits, that it was incorrect for
This is
the
for August 8th.
August
Okay.
8th, and we were going back and forth on it today, and I'm not remembering if the edit got corrected,
Okay.
but that is meant to be included, that we actually voted and approved it, that's what we rescinded tonight.
Right, correct, yeah,
But it says it was conditional in the original minutes draft,
right.
so
I
we were
will-
conditional
Good
those
catch.
out.
And you made that edit?
I'm not positive, but
Okay.
that's why I'm saying it now.
Yeah,
Okay.
whether you did or not, I will be careful to make sure that that says
Good
approved.
catch.
Yes, and you can write that down right now for me.
Yes, I will.
Yes, I will.
On
And
28th.
I will double check.
Approved.
Because there were a couple back and forths. The next meeting is when it was simply not brought up, or it was actually.
We had a discussion, but there was no presentation. And it was supposed to be an agenda, and it wasn't. Nick had forgot to put it on the agenda, so we again discussed it a little bit, and that was it. Okay, so we all set with the 8th?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, all right, so moving on to August 22nd, I was here, and I did review those minutes, and I made a few edits and comments.
So, I did a few myself.
Okay.
I believe that-
Nothing major,
I believe that was accurate on the point of
Yep.
Brooks Pond.
but we just didn't know it was not here.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to accept the August 22nd, 2023 minutes as written and edited.
I will second it.
there you go, Michael.
Got Rich, second Mike, take the commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Jim Chambers.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Okay.
And moving on to October 11th, 2022, so one day short of a year ago. And that was one I was not at, so I couldn't, I had no basis we wish to review it yet.
I reviewed that today, I looked back at my notes from the minutes,
Okay.
and make a motion to accept the August 11th minutes as
2022,
2022,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
October 11th, 2022
perfect,
minutes.
perfect, second. Is there a second?
Oh. Question.
Oh, sorry.
I not only wasn't there, I wasn't a member.
That's okay. I voted for several when I wasn't a member, we didn't have enough members left to vote, Jim.
Yeah. 'Cause yeah.
Our early days.
Yeah.
Like Rich said, that's kind of how we've been, as long as someone was here, can attest to it, then we'll just,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're good.
Trust each other in some
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
just in order to make sure we have majorities to be able to pass things, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So I think we need a second, and I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I'll take the commission's vote by roll. Mike Seiki.
Aye.
Jim Chambers.
Aye.
Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.
Alright.
Under Commissioner News, the only thing I had, in looking at the minutes, the three that I looked at today, only one of which I was at though, could you do me a favor? You do a good job of putting the time that the meeting was opened, but you haven't been putting the time the meeting was adjourned. If you could start adding that, that'll be helpful.
Motion made. And say who, you list who's here, but say who led the meeting would probably be good. Or how they moved.
Yep.
They list both of us, we're in the middle of a listing.
Yeah. Yeah.
However you designate that.
Other than that, I didn't have anything. I'm sorry, one other thing, we'll be doing our last monthly sampling for the National Watershed Association in the Leominster Brook week from Saturday.
Okay.
So I'll be reporting on the E. coli results from that. It's been, September sampling was the weekend after the storm.
Mhm.
So I think there were 3 locations sampling patients in Leominster, including mine. They told us not to sample just because of the high water and the danger.
Yeah.
But the 3 previous months, E. coli was just through the roof.
Yeah.
So I expect it again to be as well in October, but I'll forward those.
There were a lot of buildings down there that were damaged by the storm, and I think nobody's been in them for a while, so.
Yeah. The Tilton Cook building is.
Yeah.
Right,
in
I
the
heard about that, yeah. So that was just a tidbit of information.
Yeah. And the Tilton and Cook building on that point, that was the building that I was working with DPW and trying to get in touch with the property owner, which we did shortly before the storm, but I'm not really sure if that's probably not even on their radar anymore to be doing that testing.
Yeah.
And we will be getting involved with that eventually because they do span the river and there's gonna be some kind of cleanup
Okay.
necessary because there's everything that was in the warehouse above the river is now collapsed. And
In the river?
Yeah.
Or on the side of it or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been giving people a hard time in the aftermath of all this because it's like, obviously everyone's scrambling to do stuff, but that will need to get cleaned up eventually, and it's getting closer to that point, so.
The picture I sent you of the debris up against the spillway, for lack of a better term, at the Whitney Carriage Building.
Yes.
Have you mentioned that at all to them?
I think I drove by later that very day or the day after, and it was all cleaned up.
Oh, perfect, okay.
So
There's a lot there, I was surprised.
I hadn't even talked to them about it. I think they regularly clean that out.
You mentioned that when we spoke, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of, guess what, a lot of plastic trash.
Yeah.
Piled up against the spillway thing that goes beside the building.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. Anybody else have anything, Commissioner?
I just have a question. Did Mr. Bendy express any more interest?
Yes, he did. So he was planning on coming in tonight. Thank you for reminding me, John. But as he mentioned at the previous meeting, he's been working on an apple orchard. And they're just like slammed this time of year, I guess.
Yeah,
He's been working, he says he's been working like 80-hour weeks the last 2 weeks. So, he's out there today. He wasn't able to make it, but he still needs to go to the city council, which is actually having a meeting right now, at Johnny Appleseed's, like the restaurant at the high school, I guess. I didn't even know they had a restaurant at that.
Oh, it's wonderful.
That's what people tell me, but
But I'm encouraged to go get their schedule. They're open every other week.
I thought it was very strange.
A restaurant at Leominster High School?
Oh,
Yeah.
this is excellent. Yeah,
Really?
it's fine dining with serious lunches.
And it's like people like learning to cook and stuff. And,
Oh,
Funny Jack
they've
had
already
it too.
learned.
but it's like through like the technical support.
then the
Yeah, just do the
presentation
technical school.
and the service and
Yeah.
all that.
But I've heard it's really good.
Oh.
It's delightful to go
Interesting.
eat there, read a book, go with somebody. I've just started going last year,
Oh,
but it's
I'll make a note.
highly encouraged.
Okay, cool.
But
They like reservations preferred,
Yeah.
and it's only every other week and not every time.
yeah.
Depends on
Okay.
very much
So-
on the schools.
So I bring that up because city council's they've been having
yeah.
their meetings there because the situation in the basement down here,
Mhm.
it got flooded and there was a sewage issue. So
Oh,
they usually meet in the meeting room downstairs.
Right.
But they're meeting at Appleseed's currently.
Cool.
And I think Nick should be set to. I talked to him and he hadn't heard anything, but I'm going to double check with the city clerk. He should be set to attend the next city council meeting, which I think is like 13 days from today.
Okay.
This is a new commissioner coming in?
Yes, this is Nick Venti, who had attended some of the meetings as an abutter a few months ago, and he's attended 1 or 2 of my walks. I think he was at the Prospect Park walk.
That's the one that was sitting over there last hearing?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
He was actually at the Prospect Park walk, which I think you.
That I was
Had
at.
gone on, yeah.
He took a lot of notes, that guy.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
The same guy. So he's got a PhD. He seems very gung ho and smart and quick learner. So everyone was good with him to join, and with him coming on, and we should have another full, board.
Good.
Of 7 members, once Stephanie comes back, so.
Right,
Oh,
there was
when
no
is
Chinese
Stephanie
acrobats.
expected back?
That was, yeah.
6 months.
When will Stephanie be back? What's her?
February
February.
was the timeline, yeah.
Ballpark
She's still,
6 months.
she has not had her baby yet, for any updates,
Due today, right?
due on Friday.
On Friday. Speaking of Stephanie, please keep us informed when you hear that she has had a baby. I'd like the commission to maybe send her, you can do it individually if you want, but I'd like to say, have her, like something from the commission. Flowers or a card
Yeah, it's
and
a
a
good
card, a small gift, something.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
we should, yeah, thank you for saying that, Chuck, I agree.
She's done a lot for us so far.
And she's been a good member.
She literally gives us a different face.
Yeah.
We meaning the commission, the rest of the commissions.
Several ways.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So, any other commissioner news? Okay. Moving on for the next meetings. The next one will be October 24th, 2023. The defined deadline was last Friday, October 6th at noon. The meeting after that will be November 14th. Defined deadline for that will be October 27th at noon.
What's the meeting after that?
After the, November 14th?
That would be.
The 28th.
28th,
right around Thanksgiving.
Is it?
Which is.
No, Thanksgiving's early this year.
Is earlier.
It's the 23rd, I think.
So this would be held.
So yeah,
Well, it's the week after Thanksgiving,
So
right?
it'll be
Yeah,
business is normal.
should be. So, no, with that then, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take the commission's vote by roll call. Mike Seeking.
Aye.
Jim Chambers. Richard Gulick.
Aye.
And Chuck Raymond.
Aye.